Happy Thanksgiving.
Police Department, Chief Cole,
I know.
you're up, please.
Do we have to take a break for that before the
I
police
think-
department
can you-
shows up?
No, do we have to put tape on your
Now,
mouth?
let me say
Nope.
this, if you thought this
I've seen you two talking.
I'm okay, yeah.
Sharon, you never.
Oh, he's
I'm
carrying a
okay.
calculator. Oh,
No,
no.
not yet.
Chief, welcome.
Oh, no, he has
How
a
are you today?
calculator in his
Great.
hand. Oh, no.
You're not allowed to talk to
I
him.
know. It's gonna be.
What page are the expenditures on there, Chief, do you know?
I just
did
have
see it.
pieces of the budget here,
See what page you're,
so I do not,
Sergeant.
I already did that.
Uh,
Here, 29,
50.
here, is police
Starts on
administration.
29.
This start on
Couple of
29?
pages.
That's where I'm at.
That's worse.
Then it goes to emergency communications, well, that'd be dispatch center, right?
Right.
Then police patrol,
Police administration.
criminal investigation,
And then
police
the
support
public safety
services,
trainings,
police training,
emergency management.
school
Another one of
crossings.
those missing
Okay,
ones, that number.
29, Ron,
I'm there.
we're there, we're there.
There's another one of those missing.
Okay.
Oh,
there we go. I concur with that, page 29.
is it on all of them? Yeah.
You know, I'll give a quick synopsis, obviously, of the police department.
Where is that?
We've continued to be consistent with running around 18,000 calls for service.
Next one.
That seems that we'll be somewhere close to that also this year. In addition to that, we've done the staffing at, currently is at 44 sworn officers, including me. We have 3 in the queue, as we will say. We have 3 that we're real close to hiring. Whether we get that done here in December or the first part of January still kind of remains to be seen. But we have 3 more that'll be coming on to get us to our staffing of 47, which was what we were authorized to do during 2019. Currently, we're only staffing 2 divisions, the detective division, which has 1 supervisor, a lieutenant, and 4 detectives, 2 of which are corporals, and then myself in administration with, of course, Karen as the administrative assistant, I guess civilian employee. We did get our IT person, who seems to be working extremely well. You know, obviously, he's just getting his feet wet the first couple of weeks he's been here. So we have a civilian information technology person that's assigned to our division. And then, of course, we have Dave O'Neill, who's the fleet maintenance person that we share, but he's still assigned in my chain of command. Our patrol division has, the other, I guess, would be 39 officers. My arithmetic's correct, 36 to 38 officers that are assigned to the patrol division that still patrol 3 shifts, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. Of those 38 officers, 8 of them are supervisors assigned to various shifts. I think our staffing is going to stay at 47 we budgeted for this year, with the addition of a deputy chief position, which would take us to 48. Any questions?
That's in the budget already.
That's
the
in the,
assistant.
that is in the budget?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah,
that's in
I
the budget.
think it is.
That's in the budget we currently have.
Is he in the administrative budget? Yes.
Yeah.
has there been any talk of doing back to the, getting a dog, doing any of that?
Part of that has been because I've been in the delayed form. We do not have any canines currently. When canines are assigned, they're assigned as part of our patrol division, not as some special division like we had previously.
Okay.
We've done that for staffing reasons, to be able to let us staff the individual shifts and keep our minimum staffing up. Maybe you should note that our minimum staffing has remained at 5 officers and a supervisor on second shift all days. On daylight, 4 officers and a supervisor. On third shift, 4 officers and a supervisor, with the 5 officers and supervisor being on Friday and Saturday evenings. So the answer there is, yeah, we would certainly like to still look at. I have in our capital, I know we're not talking capital, I have put a budget line item in there for the equipment that would be necessary to purchase, to upfit cars and do what we have to do. We've been changing our fleet, as people I'm sure have seen throughout the municipality. We've gone from a sedan to I call it a utility platform, which is the Ford Explorer Police Utility. We're going to stay at that platform because we need the larger cars. As I do know with my new 2020 Ford Explorer that I finally got here last week, it's getting the upfitted, as they say. Those cars are a little bit bigger now. They're also going to be a platform for us to go to hybrid vehicles here in the near future that are police pursuit rated and are very, at least the initial couple months, 6 months of them being in the big cities are becoming sought after. We're going to wait a year. We may not do it with the cars, the next generation cars. We may wait another year just to make sure that we don't get the first year and they have a lot of problems with
Yeah.
them. They've already recalled some of the wiring harnesses on them, things like that. So, but that's going to be the future for our patrol fleet, that they will be assigned types of hybrid type cars. That'll be something in the future, and they'll be really functional hybrid cars. And again, talking about future, the canines, I do want to try to get one or two more canines into the fleet here, or canine officers, canine dogs for us, but they're still dependent on it. There's some things we still have to work out with how we're going to reimburse them, pay them for certain things. There's Fair Labor Standards Act that we have to follow, and we're trying to tweak that a little bit with the bargaining unit people.
Doug, touchy subject, are you looking at body cameras at all?
I am, Ron. It's not a really touchy subject. The state did an outstanding job of putting out good legislation, which is not something I say very often about the state when they legislate things. They did it appropriately. They listened to the right people. They tried to get a balancing act between the I guess more liberal side that wants everything videotaped to what they can and cannot see. I think our state did a great job with that, so I'm totally in favor of body cameras. What's been happening here, we've talked about some of the expenses. We've been holding on.
That's kind of what I was getting.
Yeah, well, again, it's going to be a capital, though, Ron. It's going to be a capital, I did budget for next year for that, and the capital side of things. What the issue is that our in-car cameras that we've had forever, we've been in in-car cameras really since the late 80s. We were one of the first to get into them. They are now, the current set that we have is well past its useful life. They're supposed to be 5-6 years. They're now going to be 7 or 8 years we've gotten out of them. So the technology keeps changing on a daily basis. But the new technology ties that all in, which includes body cameras, in-car cameras, which is what that budget line is for in the capital. And then even we're going to start having we have them videotaped now, but we never had audio because of the Restrictive Wiretap Act here in Pennsylvania. We're going to have audio in an interview room, so everybody post Miranda, we will
Your
audio
goal
and
is to
videotape.
replace the car cameras and body cams all at the same time.
At the same time. I'm getting a little long-winded there, but that's true. That's exactly what we want to do. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
take
I
off subject.
and there's some of the future things that I would like to do here. We've been blessed here. We've been lucky to have the resources that we have here on a yearly basis. I think the department's a younger department. I mean, we've hired what? I'm looking. How many have we hired here? We got 3 that are currently getting ready to be out on their own, at least, but they're still on probation. We hired earlier in the year another 4, and we got 3 more, and then we have 1 ready. To be hired in the beginning of next year. We have that veteran. We have to he's on the list, and we'll exhaust this list here. So we're in a position to be at 47 here by the end of the year, like we wanted to be.
Great.
So Josie, I was explaining in the back here to the new council, considering how the post-employment benefit gets put into the budget and what it really means. We certainly have that, and we have I'm just off the top of my head about 800,000 in post-employment benefits. I'd be pretty close to that, I think.
Dare I ask
Like-
you if you're gonna end up putting
Hey.
another person up at the high school?
We're still. I
I keep hitting you with these curveballs.
The curveballs are good. No, that was actually a fastball. But no, the answer to your question, I certainly am in support of putting another officer back up the high school as an SRO. My belief is that the best way to do that now is to assign him to the detective division. So in the 3 months that which he will be in a uniform, if the school district and us come to an agreement, the best thing we would call special operations division per se. he would be in a position where he would be then able in the summertime to help out with the caseload for the detectives. What the detectives are happening is, and, he would be out of that queue because he would just be on a flex
What's he
time.
there, 9 months?
About 9 months, yeah. So, and also the issue that's happening with us.
He or she.
He or she, Greg. The issue that's happening with us with our detective bureau is that they're getting inundated with these child lines and different types of investigations that we've never had before. I'm talking at the 80, 90 a year now. And what that means, it takes times. It takes time. It's all the stuff about, it takes time for those officers to go over and do them. Where someone that's assigned to the school, since a lot of them come from the
Are
school,
they getting a lot of cybercrime?
the cyber crimes, all that stuff associated.
But the
all of-
mandated reporting.
The mandating reporting, as you're well aware of, as a doctor, all the things that go with that, that would offset the detective. So I do want to add people to the detective division. That's my goal also, as we get to a strength level, it's consistent to keep our staffing in the patrol division.
And the school district is interested in
They
adding
are.
that
The
as
school
well.
district's
We've had
interested.
discussions with them.
We're
It's a
trying to
matter
get
of
a-
finding out the best way to do it and make it
We're
work.
trying to get a better working relationship. We certainly have always had a good working relationship, continue to have that. I know our officers are up there probably on a weekly basis on stuff that they cover above what the school police cover. So that's just.
But
that's
they
gonna be-
eliminated the SRO that we had there,
they did.
correct? And now they're looking at possibly putting him back, one back.
They are.
Thank you.
That's true. But we want to cooperate. We understand the safety of the children in the school. We certainly want to make our schools as safe as we possibly can, and not just our public schools, our parochial schools, our special needs schools, I apologize if that's the improper word to say, but certainly we have schools, we have a handful of schools that, are even charter schools that we have around the area. We certainly want to be part of trying to make them as safe as possible for everybody.
And no one can argue with that. I mean,
Yeah, nobody
we just
can.
have to find out the best way to do it.
We just got to find out the best way.
Administratively
And we
and-
certainly, as I said to you, Mayor, and you've heard, but we certainly, and according to, for Councilman Harvey, we certainly don't want to put one of our school resource officers into one of our officers as a school resource officer in a situation that's going to make them fail. And that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure we put it into a situation that everybody's at peace with and that we can do it correctly.
Well, we're totally in favor of it and always were.
Sure, we always
So,
are.
yeah.
I mean, I really am. I mean, everybody, there's good people in both places, and we're just trying to make it happen here.
Thank you.
Very good. Next section, Chief.
Okay? I don't even know what section we're on.
I think we kind of crossed sections.
Communication.
Yeah.
You tell us, we'll go through it.
Oh, well,
Communication's the next page, so
I'm getting there. Police administration.
Already, didn't we?
30 and 31. Just to discuss.
Okay. I mean, you're seeing a little bit of increase of about, $80,000 there. When you look at the bottom line, we've had some increases in some of the, wearing apparel for the people that are assigned to that division for just one. We've tried to keep our expenses, I mean, if you look at telephone, telegraph, obviously that's, we issue cell phones to everybody. So that's part of that. There's been some upgrades there. When I look here, just the retiree health insurance, that's not right. Oh, correction, I'm in the wrong one here. Retiree health insurance, yeah, that's right, about $800,000. So there's a pretty big ticket there. We tried to keep everything pretty much in line. Actually, if you look at I was looking at the wrong budget here, but you look at the patrol budget, it actually went down.
You in patrol?
I'm in patrol now. I'm actually at 33 there. So
We were looking at communication.
oh, okay. Well, I thought somebody said patrol. Communications is the same thing there. You're looking at, we have limited retired healthcare benefits there because of the contract. But it's been pretty much, the projected budget here was 1.1 million, 27,000. It's staying around 1,080,000.
Doc, is there anything in your budget, are you working on becoming an accredited department?
That's being the police department side of it, yeah, but the answer is yes. Part of the, one of the expenses on the police is you might see an increase, well, we will see an increase in services that we are purchasing, contract services, and that's because we're using a company called Lexipol. I gotta give a lot of credit to the bargaining unit representatives, because they sit down with us every Monday and Wednesday. We've been doing it now for almost 9 months. where we sit down and we're going over page by page of the whole policy manual. We currently have in effect a 450-page policy manual, but what the Lexipol does is it gives us the opportunity, we do it in a conference call with a video screen, and we talk to the lady that's representing Lexipol. It gives us national, state, and then best practice standards that we review and incorporate in, including what they call PLAC, which is the Pennsylvania Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, and we do that. So we're in the process of getting that finalized, with my intent in 2020 is to credit the department under PLAC.
And is there not something else related to maintaining updates and continuing updates and mandates through the Lexipol service?
Well, Lexipol does very good. There's some money involved here, but the reoccurring fees probably roughly $15,000 a year, and that's again put into our service fees already, our contract service fees. The issue with it is they do such a great job once we get done with this that we could do it daily, weekly, monthly, however we want to do it. We're going to probably do it initially weekly. They send out bulletins to the emails to every officer, so when they come on duty and log into their email, they'll have an actual scenario-based question, very simple yes, no, true, false, of a scenario, what policy it's covered under. And it reviews the policies and tracks that everybody's reviewing and looking at the policies.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
we're going to be able to document that instead of just throwing a manual on somebody's desk and saying, here's 500 pages, read it, and we know how that will not get read. We have our core policies that the guys know very well, use of force, pursuit driving, all that. But this is the day in, day out policies that will meet all the requirements. And as I said, I got to thank the bargaining unit for being very cooperative. They seem to be on board with this.
And that's
they don't
updated
seem they
also
are.
to the latest changes in the
And
standards. on
anything
the
that changes,
precedent.
once we get this up and running, on a daily basis, everybody's got to log in. They already got everybody's email. They'll be able to go into Lexipol. They'll be able to go onto their department-issued
It's like
smartphone
Interpol?
and bring up the poll.
No.
No, it's not like Interpol. And bring up their smartphone, and they'll be able to look at them on their phone. It's just a great way to track, because it's such, we've had the manual. Everybody has a manual, but, hey, you got to change section chapter 1. You got to reissue whole chapter 1 in paper, punch the holes in it, take the old chapter out, put the new chapter
Karen's
in.
busy for a
Those days are all electronic, all paperless, all going to be available. They can print it if they want, parts of it, if there's something they have a question on. And then like anything else, once we get this thing up and running, we're going to certainly maintain it and keep it continuing on so that we can stay current. And they have teams of lawyers nationwide. Thousands of departments use this across the country. And even in Pennsylvania, there's a handful, well, there's more than a handful now. There's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple hundred that actually use this, and they keep it current. They have lawyers that review case laws that come out. As soon as they come out and they think the policy should be changed, there's an updated policy sent to me. I approve it. It goes out to the bargaining unit. Boof, it's in the system. It's in the
Nice.
manual. So in this day of legal stuff and civil liability and everything that goes on with it, we're trying to stay at the, well, we're not, I think we're doing a pretty good job of staying at the cutting edge.
We still on patrol.
I thought we were in,
We're
I thought we were in
kinda
dispatch.
crossing
You're the
over.
one that jumped the patrol.
Wait, we've done,
Tell me where you want me to be.
Somehow it's her fault.
it's not, because service contracts is in police patrol,
Yeah.
Ron. What
We
he's
got-
talking about, the service contracts that he's talking about are under police patrol. Okay.
So you might have seen an increase in that. And one of the advantages what really made me push toward it was initially, the initial cost to get it going was like $70,000 last year. And they came out somewhere at the beginning of last year and said, we're done with it, it's too expensive. And they cut us back down to the low 30s, 32, 33. The municipal manager and I sat down and discussed it. He signed off on it, and we went and did it. And I had budgeted money for last year to do it. I wasn't at that 30,000 range, but we were pretty close, and we were able to get some money from other parts of the budget without going over
Do
budget.
you have your wearing apparel coming from 29,000 to 50,000, is there, in patrol? Is there something special being bought, or is that new vest being replaced, or?
Combination of both. One of the other issues with the body cameras, Ron, is that a lot of departments now are going to the over-the-shirt body armor vest. And the reason for that, you can see them in the city, you can see Penn Hills has
Yeah.
just gone to them. A lot of them are looking at that. So part of this policy manual is we're going to also looking at the uniforms to make them more, I don't want to use the word tactical because that's not a good word because everybody gets wound up about that, but we're going to try to make it more comfortable for the officers as well as more functional. One of the advantages of an over vest is that you can, think about what's on your waist now. We now have a handgun, we got spare magazines, some guys spare rifle magazines, pepper spray, a taser, a baton, at least one set of handcuffs, and a case to carry your portable radio. When you look at that from a whole perspective, you're just putting too much weight on people's back and hips and causing problems. So the idea is to take some of that and push that up onto a vest, and then we're gonna add a body camera on top of it. Even though
So
it's
that-
not,
The vest can hold some of that
hold
stuff that
that
wouldn't be
stuff.
on your
And then
waist.
in addition to that, if you want to do that as an option, you can put suspenders, and you won't see them, they'll be hidden under the vest. It's a new ensemble, it's not new, it's really been out for 5 or 6 years, 8 years now, but it's becoming, you saw it in the West Coast, if you watch any of the cop shows, you'd see a lot of the officers even wearing almost like a harness that the military wears that supports their gear. So some of that is to start looking for that. I believe in the contract, there's now gonna be a raise in uniform allowance. Any uniforms that we mandate to the bargaining unit, we gotta pay for. I'm hoping to have some type of a joint agreement on this, that we can do this and keep into our budget line. So that's why I added a few extra bucks there.
Good.
Again, it's the whole idea of getting into the body cameras, trying to offset, make it as easy on the officers as possible.
I like your vest. Oh, thanks.
Sounds good, Chief.
Yeah.
Next section.
35?
Just tell me what page you're on, 35?
35.
Criminal investigation.
It's
Did he
again,
do this to you?
I follow.
No
You had them in
wonder.
order at first.
You're like two of the same people.
I'm not really sure why it went down a couple $100,000 or $150,000. Is that, oh,
Your hospitalization went from
OPEB.
280 to 266.
yeah, that's probably why. That's one of it. OPEB, probably some of it,
It was 138,000 of it.
yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Hospitalization is what went down.
Okay.
You have younger officers.
Well, I think you assigned
Oh, yeah, it went from
officers,
103 to
sadly,
74.
Yeah.
that have now passed, that are retired stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Are we talking retired benefits or?
No, I'm talking about regular hospitalization.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
went from 103 to 74.
Right.
I guess the guys are being healthier. Well, I think some of that was because we had more officers maybe in that
You might
that
have.
queue, yeah.
And then,
Then
you know,
there's only 5 in that division, just to throw it out here. The salary wise here too, we always try to, I hate to call it a guesstimate, but I guess that's kind of what it is. What kind of overtime reimbursement we're gonna be getting for those officers. We have none in here this time. I'm not sure why we didn't do that. Because there should be money in that for next year.
overtime reimbursement?
Yeah.
We moved that to revenue,
Yeah, that goes to
Oh, that's
revenue.
why we did. Okay,
it's
so that's
not
probably why.
expensive.
in the
we-
revenue
Yeah.
section.
Well, we used to always put it in as a negative, though. We put it in as
Yeah, I
negative.
know.
Yeah, that was done for
Debited,
a
I
couple of
think.
years, and
That's
then
correct,
in
yeah.
18 it
changed
stopped,
that.
changed.
Right.
Because we have been generating a lot more overtime than that, and I say that with a little bit of a, we have, the municipality it's not, but we have our officers involved in multiple different task forces, of which that overtime gets reimbursed to us, both federal and state level.
When your arbitration award is gone too. That was 8750.
Because I think
They
the,
must have, you moved that to a revenue?
I don't think they have it anymore.
I
No
think,
arbitration awards?
I
so
think
it's
the
That was the flat,
managers,
yeah, that was the flat fee that they received, obviously in the arbitration award, and that goes away,
Okay,
which is relatively speaking a small amount.
yeah.
was that, I don't know what that was for, oh, okay.
That was the flat
we-
fee that they got under the arbitration instead of a
Oh,
percentage.
yeah, because the budget's,
Yeah, so now
it's
it's
over.
just
okay.
Decided
zero.
that they can put that
Yeah.
Okay.
under a separate line item.
Yeah, I guess the only, because we're hopefully not going to go to arbitration, so we're good there. Okay.
Okay, 37.
Okay. Support services. That's obviously our civilian employees that are in there. Or a civilian
This
employee.
is the
just-
person that
that's
takes
just
care of the
Dave.
fleet maintenance, correct?
That's only Dave O'Neill, that's correct, I'm sorry, that's Dave O'Neill. on
This
that.
whole page,
Yeah.
support.
Any questions, council?
No, none.
Next page, Chief.
Training.
Training
39.
division.
As a thought, chief, I think next year maybe we ought to put your IT person on it.
Well, I would agree.
I would think,
I would agree.
that's what I thought.
You know, take
that
them
would
out
have been
of
there.
administration, put them under here.
I would agree that, I was kind of, I was thinking that when I was.
Under support, yeah.
We only
Yeah.
got him hired here last week, a couple weeks ago, so he's the end of
Yeah.
19 here, but for 20, we probably should have put him in there. Well, what happened with police training, there used to be a person assigned there full-time. That's maybe one of the other reasons why the other post-employment benefits picked up a bit in the other divisions, because the retirees that were in police training, they're obviously have post-employment benefits. But we took this down, we discussed that when we were doing our budget, and I'm in total agreement that the only thing we have there is the 40,000, which is for purchasing ammo and different type of stuff that we need, taser cartridges, things like that, that we purchase for that over the year, doing our training and replacing that. That's what that is.
But the training's coming out of the other budget line.
The instructors are all coming out of the other budget line. Well, we don't have any full-time people doing that. That's one of the other ways we did it to save some cost here, is a couple years back now, actually it's been like 5 years back, we started just having officers get detailed out of that in their trainers. And I have a handful that do
Right,
that.
for someone maybe is reading through this, just to be clear that we are training our
Oh,
officers.
we're training more than ever.
Yes, so just,
Well, yeah, and that's
Put that-
something
I
we
wanna
should,
put that out there.
that 40,000, we did go to new weapons here this past, actually, the final set will be issued out here tomorrow. We did go from our 45 caliber Smith & Wessons down to I say down to, but went to Glock 5th generation 9 millimeters. And we went back, so it's kind of my whole career. I started out in a 9 and went to a 40, went to a 45,
You
now
start
we're
off
back,
with
it's just a circle, I'm
357.
back in 9s. But the 9 millimeters, the FBI tested, they speak highly of them. They ballistically, they've come out with new ammo. It says it's the same to get all police officers want to do is when they have to fire their weapon is they want to stop the action. That's all we're trying to do. And we feel very comfortable with these new weapons. And the kicker, though, of that is when you buy what they call the ball ammo, the non-expensive ammo to practice with, they are half the cost, sometimes maybe a third of the cost of what the 45 ammo is. So what that means is that our officers are shooting more. We used to only do a couple times a year. We're doing 4 times a year, and we're getting a lot more training time. As you guys see when I do the hourly reports of training time. So we believe training saves us from liability, so that's why we're going to continue to do
Hey,
that.
Doug, on this, in the past, we have kept this police training here since 2014, only because of the OPEB, if I remember correctly. Now, the OPEB, we're doing the accounting on it a different way. Why can't we just, maybe not
Move
for
this
this
whole-
year, yeah, just take the weapon, because most of this is weapons and protective equipment, and put it under police patrol.
That's all it is.
You know, Josie, I think, maybe not now, but next year maybe, or.
Don't you think you ought to be able to show how much you spend on police training and
Not
catch
if you're
those
not,
liabilities?
not if you're not keeping the officers in
Yeah,
there
you don't-
and
you
showing
don't-
that. You're
we
only
used to
showing what
have-
he's buying,
Oh,
ammo.
I
I'm
can,
talking about in a liability situation where you have to show everything that you provided that officer, including training. How much do you train the officer?
we'd still be tracking them.
I could-
It would
you could
still be
track that
tracked,
under
Ron.
police patrol or detectives or whatever.
We track
Instead of
all the
having all these
hours
goose eggs here.
used in training. Well, if that helps you, I mean, I send you monthly reports with the hours, so we track that by individual. It's actually tracked in Telestaff. So Telestaff has, because they're on a training day when they're in Telestaff. So that's how we track, and then, of course, we track it by their training records, when they
You
actually
don't
complete
see
something.
any possibility of eventually having an officer that's in charge of training?
Not in the near future, but I mean, certainly it's always a possibility, just like the same thing with our traffic division. I see that can be something to come back, whether it would be more of a shared responsibility. I think sharing those divisions is the way to go here from an economic standpoint, but, getting the best out of both, both divisions. But, again, it's up to, we could put that, we really could put the, weapons protective equipment budget in the
Into-
patrol or
back
even
into
administration. You could put it wherever you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't,
It's still
Josie,
being
what do
labeled.
you think? I don't
Still
think
being labeled the same way.
It should be
it should be,
patrol, I think.
yeah.
I mean, the vast majority is the patrol division. They have, the area of, 36, 38 officers in that
Yeah, they're the
division.
ones that are using most of this,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. But the detectives and whoever, yeah, right, correct.
No. Eh. Yep, you're crossing guards too, aren't you?
Yeah. That,
Hey, 41.
I think we have a total of 4. That's exactly right. We have 4 crossing guards now. We have 2 up in University Park, 1 in Mellon Plan, and 1 in Old 22 in Garden City, correct. So that's the 4 crossing guards. We have 1 alternate. Helps us out.
I think when I was looking through Mount Lebanon's budget, when I was looking for that number. It's
ridiculous.
It was like 27.
Yeah. You know, Penn Hills at one time had 45. Yeah, every intersection. I don't think they have that many now, but at one time they had 40-some, yeah. And, you know, Mount Lebanon, in defense to them, nobody takes a bus, they all walk to
Because they don't have,
school.
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
walks. Everybody
And
walks.
Penn Hills in that days, that used to be what everybody would walk
Penn
to
Hills has
school.
more people than us packed into 5 square miles.
Yeah, that's right, right.
They have buses.
So, yeah, so the school cards is really not, you know, the real big expenditure there for us, we do share that cost with the, it's actually more than that. We share that cost, half the cost with the school district, just so everybody remembers that, school district pays half of that. And one of the things we did in the past, and we continue to do now, is we offset their cell phone costs, so they make sure that they have some type of communication with us. God forbid something bad would happen, they could call for help.
So Chief, I'm sorry, the 29,000, say 30,000 is half. We're paying 15
No, it's half.
50.
or it's 60
It's 60,000.
total?
Yeah, well, that's our expense there.
expense is 29.
Our expense is what you see there, that's correct. And then I think the last thing that I have, fire department, is the training center.
Somebody give me a page.
Well, it's on fire.
Page
suppression.
51.
There it is. Page 51.
They were there.
Go ahead, Chief.
Again, we're only about 3,000 up, it's just the use of the utilities. One thing to remember with this cost here, which is showing 60,500 to run that center obviously has 3 buildings in it, 4 buildings if you count the fire tower. It has 3 buildings that requires heat and electricity, well, I guess the fire tower requires electricity, but not heat, and air conditioning in the other 3 buildings. You know, it's been a joint venture it's unbelievably cost-effective for the municipality. In addition to this, if you look at the 60 figure, 24,000, it ends up being a little bit more than that. It ends up being somewhere pushing 28,000 a year, depending on courses that we can charge for. It's minimal that we charge for the use of the facility. There's some firearms courses that we put on that we're able to charge the individuals $25 a head when they come to that. So it ends up being somewhere around 28,000. But
Forbes still running?
24,000 of that comes from Forbes. They rent it for 24,000. So
The
really,
28,000 you're talking about, that's on the revenue side?
that'd be on the revenue side, absolutely. So the reality of this, the actual true cost of this, and I say true because Public Works does do stuff on duty time. They clean things up and keep the grass cut, and they do an excellent job for that. But the actual number cost in this is somewhere in the 40,000 range or a little less. Maybe as less as, depending on how much we can collect. We try to collect fees. They are on this fee schedule when it's possible. We wanted to try to collect more, and we actually had a big discussion with our partners with the FBI, and it became a thing that the FBI couldn't charge. It became a problem. The bottom line was, when they put on courses, we don't want to be
But we
charging
can
anybody
charge
for
for the
law
use of our
enforcement.
classroom and burn building and things like that, right?
No, with the stuff that the FBI provides, what ends up happening is that, for instance, I'll give you an example. They put on some firearms instructor classes where they showed up. It was open to multiple agencies throughout the area. Lots of police officers came from, actually, from other states too, West Virginia, Ohio. They came to this class. When they came there to try to charge them $50, they wanted to charge them $50 a head, quote unquote, to use the facility. And that became a real big issue because the federal government is responsible for helping train, and they can't charge people for it. It became really problematic one.
But I
And-
mean the municipality charges.
Now, the municipality can, if we have some agency come in that's non-public related, we've done that, or public, meaning a public fire rescue, we can charge minimal amounts for some of the wear and tear, which we've done, the use of water, things like that on the fire side of it. But from the law enforcement side of it, became really problematic. An example I'll give you, the NRA comes in, which is an outside agency, and they teach a firearms instructor class also. That's when we can charge because they're an outside agency. They come in, we let them use the facility. We have the agreement of the FBI, and we charge $25 a head for people to be there, use our facility.
There's some issues up at the training academy that I wanted to bring up to you, and I don't know if this is the proper time or we should wait till Capitol or, you know.
I put money in the capital budget for upgrading. I mean, we're certainly upgrading the fencing there currently. We have things we have to upgrade, as I've been talking to Paul. So we're prepared to talk about that in capital. I mean, the operating side of this, I don't see is gonna really change. The electricity, we've been staying pretty much under budget, or at budget with the electricity, water, gas, and our TV. We were able to get the cable we have there.
Doug, the burn room needs new towels again.
Okay, that would be a capital,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and we
We're on the
certainly are
list.
looking at that,
That's capital, I'm
Right.
yeah,
good to move on.
yep. Cool.
All right, chief, is that it, everything?
Yeah, you guys got through me pretty quick here. I know Paul Ugas is real quick, really excited to get up here, so we want to leave plenty of time for him.
Nice job, chief.
Oh, thanks,
you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Doug.
Keep up the good work.
What page are we on?